We often think the best way to save a relationship is avoiding arguments at all costs, but the exact strategies we use to keep the peace are often the very forces that break down attraction and respect from the inside out. Imagine a typical Tuesday evening. A woman stops at a bakery after work and brings home her partner's favorite pastry. She performs this small act of care, and in her mind, a subtle expectation forms. This gesture will be reciprocated in the future. The next day, he comes home from work empty-handed. He takes off his shoes, sits on the couch, and relaxes. He is completely oblivious to the fact that he just failed an unspoken test. Her frustration stems from the concept of invisible reciprocity. Invisible reciprocity is the subconscious expectation that supportive actions will be mirrored by a partner without ever needing to be explicitly requested. The female side of this logic map operates on a continuous circular loop of giving and expecting a return. The male side uses a linear flowchart from a visible problem to a concrete solution. With no problem stated, his flowchart hits a dead end. This communication vacuum ferments over time. Annoyed by the lack of reciprocation, the woman begins unconsciously testing his boundaries and his leadership to see if he is still engaged in the relationship. By choosing to ignore underlying friction for the sake of a quiet evening, he leaves silent resentment to grow into a deeper structural issue. To maintain this artificial peace, the man adopts a defensive dynamic. He actively dodges friction, preemptively canceling his own hobbies or immediately yielding to her preferences just to avoid a heavy sigh or a complaint. Internally, his logic feels sound. He believes that by swallowing his pride and being accommodating, he is acting as a supportive partner who keeps the household stable. But her perception moves in the opposite direction. As he yields his own boundaries, she stops seeing a capable partner and begins to view him as someone who requires constant maternal management. This graph maps male accommodation against female perception. As he yields his ground, her respect for him erodes. Where these lines cross, the relationship shifts to a management dynamic, creating a lopsided arrangement that is difficult to reverse. By trading his personal boundaries for a quiet evening, the man sacrifices the respect required to sustain romantic attraction. To understand why this is so destructive, we have to look at the male psychological framework. Most men have a requirement to face challenges and feel useful in order to maintain their self-worth. When the woman assumes the dominant, controlling role, the man is effectively removed from his position of leadership and utility. This deprives him of validation and recognition for his efforts, the psychological currencies that sustain male self-esteem. On the other side of this collapse, the woman experiences the exhaustion of carrying a leadership and emotional load she never actually wanted. The ultimate physical manifestation of this dual psychological rot is the cessation of physical intimacy, driven by the woman's accumulated resentment and the man's loss of assertive presence. This creates a cycle where a woman too resentful to desire sex is tethered to a man whose ego is fractured because he is starved of validation. There is a popular myth that time heals all wounds in a struggling relationship. In reality, swallowed frustrations do not fade. They function as active, ticking time bombs. For the man, abandoning self-respect doesn't prevent a conflict. It ensures he'll have no foundation to stand on when that conflict inevitably arrives. Conversely, relying on hints and telepathy fails because the male brain is geared toward direct negotiation and clear utility. Assertiveness represents the middle ground between being a doormat and using passive aggression. A more sustainable approach requires direct action. State exactly what you want. Negotiate terms without your ego. Never fake a smile when furious. A functioning relationship requires the courage to face immediate, uncomfortable friction. The alternative, a slow decay masked by artificial peace, is a trap designed to destroy both partners.